Hello, 312. This is Deborah. Thanks for calling.
Hi, yeah. My name's Jeffrey. I'm actually on Atheist Nexus underneath that. I haven't posted anything on YouTube, but I've been watching, obviously, everybody as far as things go. Really what I was calling, I saw the subject heading for this anyways, for tonight's show, was about misconceptions about atheism, and that I know it's a gear shift, but that's kind of where I wanted to go with this.
No, it's a good point, and one that I wanted to bring up, so go ahead.
Well, I just recently started a little social exercise, and I blogged on Atheist Nexus underneath this.
It's a great site.
This heading, yes, it is. It's and I only recently found it. To give a little background, I've been out of the closet as long as I've been an atheist. It kind of just slipped out one day, and somebody said, "Oh my God, you're going to hell," and I'm like, I don't think I believe in that either. So since that day, it's been just kind of certain members of my family, it can be discussed about, even they know it, even though we can't discuss it. And other people, it upsets my mom, but she's never even read the damn book. So, excuse me, sorry. I know this is an internet show, but I'll try to keep the language. Really, I wanted to try to talk about some of my experiences with this little exercise. I just grabbed some "Hello, my name is" tags. And I know it's a little childish. I am 26, so this is a little childish. But
what is your name? What did it say?
Well, I grabbed the name tags, and I actually just scratched out "my name is" and put "I am Ann," and then put "atheist" underneath it in bold. Well, my take on it was everyone else wears their labels, and that's really what this is. I mean, we can't say that atheism is actually a way of thinking. It's just a commonality and lack of belief. A way of thinking is the scientific method, the Socratic method, whatever you want to look at it as. So it's really just a label. It was interesting seeing all the people who I had encountered before as clerks at a store or this, that, the other, and suddenly they see this label, and they're rude. They won't look at me. They just want to get me out of line and get me out of the store. I was kicked out of two places, and I live in the Chicago suburbs by the 312. Which is a fairly secular area. So that in and of itself happening was kind of earth-shaking in a way, because I really didn't think that I lived in that kind of area. Some other people, believers, were even more surprised. So that was kind of reassuring. But, then they would jump on the, well, it is kind of childish and you're putting this thing out there and so forth. But really, a lot of what I encountered was people treating not necessarily atheism, but evolution as a religion.
Yes.
I had somebody ask me. They said, but you get your morals from evolution. And of course, he's not talking about the morality that's developed by evolution through natural selection, punctuated equilibrium, all that kind of stuff. He's talking more about the process of evolution and taking morality from it. And all I could say is, well, I certainly hope not. I wouldn't want to live in that world. And Richard Dawkins said he wouldn't want to live in that world. And Hitchens says he would find it appalling. So I think that's a commonality amongst us, that no, that's not the type of world we want to live in. It just happens to be how we got here.
I have heard same thing about evolution being a religion. Adam, did you have a comment about that one? Because we had a show about this actually before.
We did have a show about this, and it was a great show. But
you did that horse then.
Yeah, well, no. I run across this a lot as well. Being a biologist myself, and there is a big misconception. There's misconceptions, especially with evolution and atheism itself. And yeah, the idea that evolution is a belief is really just based on, well, a lack of knowledge of what evolution states. And it's not a belief; it's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact as real as gravity. And we probably have just as much evidence for evolution as we do for gravity. It's just not as accessible to people unless they actually educate themselves. And most people aren't willing to educate themselves because they've just they're religious and they don't want to pay attention to it. They just consume the things that are agreeable to their mindset, or what they've been told their mindset should be, and they don't want to look into it any further.
I want to interrupt there on one note, because I've been told that I do the same thing, that I only look at things that are agreeable to my viewpoint and everything like that. And the first thing I think is, yeah, being gone after death, that's a really attractive idea. And oh yeah, we literally came from dirt. We weren't just metaphorically made from dirt. Yeah, that's a really appealing idea. Where do you get off thinking that I'm that shallow in my belief? And that's the only response I can come up with, is that how often do we get offended, but we don't react that way? We react as if, well, no, this is really the way I see it, and we don't get offended. We don't get upset. But, I mean, to a certain extent, I think maybe we should. It's the only thing people seem to react to.
Well, the thing that we're honest discussion here, we're also just, many of us are atheist evangelists, as it's been called. I mean, we're not just, at least me, I'm just speaking for me here, I'm not just talking to atheists out there and trying to tell atheists how all right they are, but we're talking to Christians and trying to get them to understand us, and I also want to make sure I understand them. And some of my best friends on YouTube are Christians, like Wildcard and Rational Roundtable. I think it's a bit silly for them to say that we're just interested in our own worldview and what's just agreeable to us, because would we really be in a public area where we've got Christians shouting us down about hell every day? We would just be we would pretty much just be on an atheist forum the entire time, kicking off all the Christians who wanted to talk about God.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good point. Go ahead, Bionic.
Well, one of the things I say on my channel and on other people's videos a lot is that what I want to know is the truth, even if the truth is uncomfortable. So, I mean, a lot of what we've been talking about here is, how unflattering it is to think, oh, I came from dirt. Oh, I'm going to die and that's the end. But if that's what's real, I want to know that, because otherwise I'm going to be making a lot of mistakes in my life. And it seems like a lot of people don't want to know that. It seems like a lot of people, I'll have this argument with folks about morality. They're like, well, morality has to be objective because how could anything be wrong? And I'm like, well, what if there is no written morality and it's just tough and we have to make it up as we go? And they won't even consider the possibility. I've never been able to get any of them to say, well, okay, I suppose that could be so. They just seem to say, no, it's so objectionable to me to think that these things are not automatically built into the universe wrong, that I won't even consider the proposition. And that gets in the way a lot.